In 1929, Ahmed Kathrada was born into an Indian family in Schweitzer-Reneke, where apartheid was the law of the land. At a young age, Kathy joined the struggle for liberation, risking his freedom for the rights for all South Africans. He ultimately faced the death penalty alongside Nelson Mandela and Walter Sisulu.
Kathy has been in every major political trial until he landed in jail in the Rivonia trial. 1946, 1950, 1952, 1956 treason trial, you name it, every national trial Kathy has been involved.
They were sentenced to life in prison and were sent to Robben Island. People the world over called for their release.
It was a microcosm of how apartheid applied in South Africa. I stayed in the cell for 17 and a half years. If you stood here and looked out, not only can you see Cape Town, which is quite a distance, but the warders going to the harbor with their kids. That was the advantage of the cell. The main deprivation was children. You miss children. Mr. Mandela saw his two little girls when they were 2 and 3. Right. The next time he saw them was when they were over 16. A prisoner never loses hope. Never, ever. Although we were sentenced to life imprisonment, and for political prisoners, life meant life. We want Robben Island to be a monument. One wants to perpetuate the positive aspects, and that is a place of triumph. Because Robben Island played a very important role in the struggle, although we were in prison. And the struggle to crush apartheid was in some ways less difficult than the struggle we are facing now.
After 26 years, Kathy and his comrades walked free, infusing the struggle with new hope.
I was waiting for you.
What
I had waited long, and we met again. It was a moving experience, and became very clear that nowhere in the world the human spirit can be destroyed by a tyrant or an oppressor.
6 months later, Nelson Mandela was also a free man. They negotiated an end to apartheid and set to work building a new nation. Prisoner Mandela became President Mandela. With Kathrada as his advisor, they chose a path of truth and reconciliation over revenge. Old comrades worked with young leaders to make their highest ideals the law of the land. Kathy taught people in South Africa and around the world about the history, triumphs and lessons of the journey to freedom. He is a vigilant champion of ethical standards and of racial equality.
He has been a great instrument of the movement. That is what he has brought. Confidence in the future.
I found him to be a great fountain of wisdom.
He is a selfless person. He's made an enormous contribution.
You know, he connects to the issues that affect us as ordinary human beings.
He has contributed significantly to our rainbow nation.
Ahmed Kathrada remained core part of the leadership of our struggle at the time.
Freedom to be achieved has to be fought for, has to be sacrificed. There has to be sacrifices. Freedom you don't get on a platter. Nobody has given freedom on a platter to anybody. It has to be fought for.
They had passion for what they were doing. They didn't do it for name and fame.
South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white.
They were very brave. to make the kind of sacrifices that they made.
We are deeply grateful that today we live in a lively democracy.
But he's so warm and he's so humble for a person of his status and his legacy.
You'd expect someone of his stature to actually be proud and, he'd want to be praised, but that is not who he is.
He's basically teaching us about non-racialism.
It's an incredibly good heart in Kathy that I think most people recognize and respond to. And, that is a privilege to live with someone with such a good heart.
His life is a legacy of an ongoing example of the unbeatable power of love and the triumph of the human spirit.